This video provides a walkthrough of XPR, a cloud service that enables researchers to easily create and deliver experience capture surveys in a context-sensitive manner to participants via a user's mobile smartphone or tablet device. So before any surveys can actually be configured and deployed to any participants, the researcher needs to create an account with the system. So to do that, they first need to go to the XPR website, and initially that will show you the home page where you can obviously, if you have an existing account, you can log in, and in the bottom right hand corner there's a form which a user can enter some credentials to set up an account. So let's do that. Provide an email for the username, and give it a password as well. And then when we click on the register button, that instantly sets up an account, and it redirects us to the researcher's main home page, which shows a pane entitled projects, and this is where all the different projects that will get listed that the researcher actually sets up. So a project can contain one or more surveys that the researcher can configure and create to distribute to participants that are associated with that project. So in this example, we're going to create a collection of surveys for a study that is investigating daily eating habits. So I'm going to go ahead and create the project and define 3 different surveys within it. So I'm just going to give this project a title. So we'll call this Understanding Daily Eating Habits. Right there. So there you see the project is now listed in the projects pane, and we can click on this, and then I can go ahead and create some surveys within the project. So I'll call this breakfast survey, lunch survey, and dinner survey. So I'm setting this project up, so the idea is that each of these surveys trigger at a different point in time, essentially on the user's mobile device. So then I can click on a survey, and so I want to go ahead and add some questions to the survey. So we click on the Add Question button, and this shows a pop-up with a drop-down, and it lists the types of questions that are currently available in the XPR system that we can add to a survey. So we can add a like it question, we can add a multi-option question, and we can set a question that asks the user to take an image of their current situation or current context. But the purposes of this demo, I'm just going to add a like it question. So I'm going to set this to how satisfied were you with your meal? And we can put this as very satisfied. Oops, sorry. It's not satisfied. It's the very satisfied. Okay. So then we can click Save Question, and then that adds that question to the survey. And we can add as many questions as we like. So just for this demo, I'll just add a multi-option question also. So we'll put something like, did you eat a piece of fruit? And we'll just put yes, no, as options. And you can kind of move these around, so if you have a long list of options and you want them to appear in a certain order on the user's device, you can adjust that accordingly. So we can click Save Question, and now that's added. So we've got our 2 questions associated with the survey. And obviously I can repeat this for the other surveys, but for the purposes of this demo I'll not go ahead and do that. So now I want to add some triggers so these surveys render on the user's device at certain times. So you can click on the Triggers tab and go to Add Trigger, and at the minute the platform supports 2 types of trigger. So you can have a spatial trigger, so the survey will appear when the user enters a certain area or location, or you can set a temporal trigger, so the survey will trigger at a certain time in the day. So I'll just show you quickly the interface for the spatial. Adding a spatial trigger, so you have a map where you can select a location, or you can put in a place name or postcode, and then once you do that you can also set a radius. Additionally, you can also build up more complex triggers, so with this one you can add time constraints to the spatial trigger. So you can say when the user is in a certain location at a certain time, then trigger the survey. So I'll just go ahead and add a temporal. So we'll set this for tomorrow. Set it for 9:30. Okay. And for each survey you can set a period of time that you want it to be active on the user's phone. So from the point that the survey actually triggered, how long is it available for the user to complete. So for this one we'll set it for an hour. So we'll save the trigger. So that's now added, so we've got our questions associated with the survey, and we've got the trigger associated with it. So now when we add some participants to this project and they download the project configuration to their phone, this survey will appear at 9:30 AM on their device. So once a researcher has recruited their participant group and they're ready to run the study, they need to ensure that each participant has downloaded the application onto their mobile device and created an account with the XPR system. So you can see here I've already downloaded it, so I'm just going to open it up and I'm going to go ahead and create an account. So you'll see here we're asking for a PIN as opposed to what you would typically see where it might be an email address or some kind of user-defined username, and the reason is just given the nature of the system and storing research data captured through the surveys that they complete, we don't want to associate or link personal information against that data that we store in the system. So we ask that users provide a PIN between 4 and 8 digits that is familiar to them, and then also provide a password along with that so they can log into the system. So I'll just go ahead and create a PIN for this user. Password, and I'll click on register. And so you can see if a user does provide a PIN and an existing user already has an associated PIN number or the same PIN number, the system will tell them and they will need to come up with another PIN number. So let's just alter this one slightly. And we'll try that one again. Okay, so now the user participant account is created and they're signed into the application. They won't need to sign in again if they come back to the application unless they explicitly sign out of the application, which they can do by going to settings and clicking on the log out button. So the main screen within the XPR mobile application lists 3 different sections. One entitled To Do Surveys, another Future Surveys, and Survey History. The Future Surveys lists all active surveys that the user is allocated, so any project that the participant is associated with that contains active surveys, they will be listed in this section. The to-do surveys lists surveys that have actually triggered, so the user will have received a notification to say that a survey is available, and when they come back into the application they will see it listed here and they will be able to select that survey and complete it if they come back within the time window that the survey is actually set to be available. And the survey history just lists the different actions and activities that users perform on different surveys that have been allocated to them. So now for this user, what we want to do is associate the project and the surveys that we created previously with this user so they can download those surveys and have them ready to go on their mobile application. So to do this we need to go back to the web page and log back in as the researcher. So this is one we set up previously, so I'm now acting as the researcher here, so we can log in, and there we see the previous survey that we created with our 3 surveys, sorry, the project with the 3 surveys that we created. And so to add that user, what I need to do is click on the add users icon for the project, and that displays a pop-up where I can then enter the participant's PIN. So the one we just created was 343. Now we can add that. So now that participant is associated with the project. So then if I go back to the application, you can see that the breakfast survey is now listed as a future survey for this user, and that will trigger in the next 21 hours. So then all the user needs to do once the surveys are downloaded onto their mobile device is close the application, and it will run in the background and wait until a survey is ready to trigger, and then display a notification to the user that there's a survey available in the application. When a participant receives a notification, that means the survey is available, so they can click on the notification, and as soon as they click on it the survey is displayed. So you can see here the survey that we created earlier, the breakfast survey. We can see the 2 questions, the like it scale and the multiple option question, so I can answer both of these. So I'll select no for this, click answer, and then once I've completed all the questions I can click finish, and then that submits the survey data to the server for the researcher to then access through their web application. The researcher can log back into their account at any time to check on the data that has been submitted through the survey, so let's just go ahead and do that. And again, as you can see, the previous project that we created is here, listed here with the 3 surveys. So for each of the surveys there's a CSV icon associated with it, and so if you click on this it will allow you to download any survey data that has been submitted. So if I click on this, that'll download the CSV file, and then obviously you can then go ahead and open this in Excel, and we should be able to see the data that we submitted previously when we completed the survey on the mobile device. And yeah, there you go.